Sanctifiers draw their strength from an unshakable faith in the Emperor. When they are grouped together, they gain miraculous power that elevates them far beyond what a mere human civilian should be capable of in the 41st millennium. This team wants to stick together in a big group to maximise their faction rule Ministorum sermon. Deciding when to be in the buff aura and when to not will be the key to this team, as they will be highly susceptible to blast and torrent weapons. It's true that individually they are weak and together they are strong, but not strong enough to survive multiple blast attacks at a turn. They have access to security, which means on certain maps contain and a more defensive playstyle will be the way you want to try playing this team the first time, or at least until you figure them out for yourself and develop your own tactics into certain teams. Having a strong fire base with only 1 or 2 harassing units that strike last in a turn, denying central objectives will be strong, and their 7 wound bodies will be much more durable than the opponent expects. Not durable enough for you to mess up positioning though, of course. It all begins with their faction rule Ministorum sermon. One operative becomes the orator, I don't know, and the faithful congregation are empowered by their sermon. Ensuring your operatives are the correct distance from the orator will be essential, as this is the key way your operatives become greater than their stats suggest. Not only do they ignore damage, but a plethora of other rules, such as strategy ploys, rely on this same distance. If you line this up correctly, your kill team will become a mighty procession, marching through the kill zone to shoot, fight, and endure far greater than if it was stretched apart. Before we continue, don't forget to check out my other Blood and Zeal content. I've done a review, I've done an unboxing, I've of course done all the Sanctifier stuff, and maybe some battle reports later in the week, who knows. And I've done a little bit of a hobby guide for those that are thinking of proxies or just want to know how to best build these out of the box. Kill Team Bling, isn't that fun? This is an all-in-one travel solution. He does custom dice tray artwork. You've got a cool magnetized sheet there, and you have an additional floor for random storage of stuff. He also sells these poker chip style base steppers, which is really fun. There's also a Crossfire Games who do some really good objective markers. Everybody needs objective markers. They also do token caddies. He does the default token caddy, like this one here, to carry your cardboard tokens, but he also does this one, which is for his own faction specific token sets. However, I'm actually using this to transfer some buy the same token tokens, which actually I think are really, really good. They're super vibrant on the tabletop, unmistakable. They do a whole load of crazy things. For example, this is my Tau Pathfinder leader, Shaswi Shasla Boy, whatever. And they actually happen to do marker-like tokens that match with my funky neon blue bases. They do a whole bunch of stuff. I've also managed to get a 5 or 10% discount code for all of these products, all pinned in the top comment below. Go check these out if they're of interest to you. Back to the video. Now, before we get into the rest of the rules, of course, I want to talk a little bit about hobby and proxy potential, etc. So first off, every base here is a 25mm base, apart from the Confessor, the Orator, the leader himself, who is a 32mm base. A natural conversion idea, if you don't want to do normal Imperials, would of course be Chaos Cultists. That's an obvious, easy one. You basically don't need to change the models, you just put icons on them. Likewise, Genestealer Cultists also make perfect sense. Any sort of regular 25mm human is perfect for this. You could even stretch yourself out to Necromundians, if you will. A quick note about this team if you're just buying the Blood and Zeal box, and that is you actually have a choice to make. So of course there are all of the regular warriors. I'm not going to talk about that, it's not a big deal. It seems like you are currently not going to be building more of the regular preacher dudes. The preachers are the guys that have a single hand flamer. They're not your bread and butter. You are going to be building all of the specialists. However, you probably do want to end up building 3 missionaries. Of course, we all love a bit of missionary, and in this instance, it's a little bit of a guess about what is the best thing to build. So, you are always going to build your Ministorum Flamer, and you actually want the icons on all of them, not the braziers of flaminess. So I would say all 3 want the icon, but you then have to make a decision with the other body. Do you want to build the plasma or do you want to build the melter? To be clear, the answer is you always want to build the melter. That's not even in question. However, if like me, you built the plasma first because he looks cool, and then you want to figure out how to build the melter as well, you're going to have to buy another single model. For me, I kept it nice and thematic, and I actually went and purchased a House Corridor box for Necromundans, and I converted one of them. You've no doubt seen them in the pictures next to the other two missionaries. But you know me, I love thinking about the Xenos. I'm a Xenos lover through and through. If we're thinking about conversion potential, what else could we do? Right off the top of the dome, no other thoughts had. I'm thinking Necrons. Obviously, your 32 mil base guy can be one of your Wardens perhaps, or some sort of Canoptech, and all the 25 mil base guys could be various Canoptech models. That'd be really cool. It's not just the Orator's Sermon that grants additional benefits. Other support operatives further lift your kill team, such as the Drill Abbot, Reliquant, and Salvationist. Like the aforementioned Orator, you'll need to place these operatives in the best position to maximise their auras, but also to keep them protected from enemy assassins looking to break apart your procession. Remember, many of these rules don't require visibility, so you can use terrain and other operatives to keep them safe, while still providing support rules to operatives on the front line. This kill team's reliance on its auras can concentrate your operatives to an area of the kill zone, giving your opponent more freedom on the peripheries. This is where certain key operatives come in, capable of threatening your opponent even if they aren't near your auras. The missionary is a veteran who has operated independently on distant planets all across the galaxy. With a holy relic, they are capable of moving off independently while still benefiting from the sermon. Furthermore, the Death Cult Assassin is a highly trained solo operative ready to ambush anyone lurking alone. Once you have your attack plan in mind, you'll need to execute it. With the exception of a missionary's plasma gun, Sanctifiers overwhelmingly favour melee and close-range shooting. They have very little hope in protracted long-range firefights, so try marching them to the centre of the kill zone, then commence a close-range attack from there. An abundance of flamers gives you reliable damage and punishes enemies that group too closely, while sanctification orbs from equipment allow you to root out operatives attempting to sneak too close to your procession. Applying blaze tokens will also keep the damage going, potentially finishing off operatives with just a few wounds remaining. When needed, you also have the Miraculist. This powerful operative has limited weapons, so you'll have to decide the opportune time to unleash them, but they pack a punch when you do. Their miracle rule keeps them alive that extra bit longer, so if you use them at the right time, they can single-handedly turn the game in your favour. A significant challenge for this team is figuring out how much of its support rules you should use. Nearly half of your team improves others, so if you play too defensively with them, only the other half is free to threaten enemy operatives and battle for objectives. In each game, you'll have to decide when to forego some buffs so you can effectively apply pressure to your opponent. Fortunately, when the Confessor does this, they have the powerful Mace of Censure and a commanding Declamation rule to use their powers of persuasion on the enemy. Overall, the Sanctifiers are a team for players that like to effectively organise their operatives and think many activations ahead. The aim is to elevate the team with clever positioning and supporting rules so it can perform above the sum of its parts. If you're an elite Marine player, this is going to be the absolute opposite of how your team regularly plays and is going to take a lot of practice for you to finally get used to. But if you think that you can handle staying within 6 inches of the Confessor, you're probably going to do okay with how this team plays, and it will probably sit very nicely middle of the pack, a little bit higher for those that can handle it, and a little bit lower for those that can't. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to check out my other Blood and Zeal content, both a big faction review, an unboxing, a hobby guide, and of course the Sanctifiers. Maybe even some battle reports later, who knows. Bye.